So, welcome everyone. It seems like most of our guests tonight are from either New York or in Texas, here in my own congregation in Cedar Park. So, as I said before, welcome y'all, but I can also say welcome to all, so everyone feels truly welcome. Um, this course that we're embarking on tonight, and I believe that Rabbi Douglas Cohn, who's with us, will be teaching a future week, and we're looking forward to your teaching as well. We are, each of us, small URJ congregational rabbis, and we'll be teaching on the 7 days of creation for the 7 weeks of the Omer. And so tonight is day one of creation and week one of the Omer. But I want to go through just as a start to our process to remind everybody about the pattern of the 7 days of creation. So I'm not sure, and you can speak up to tell me, but if you have learned about the pattern of creation in this way, that the first 3 days really map very neatly onto the second 3 days. Have people learned about this?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, thank you for speaking up, Ellen. Let's talk through it then. So day one is about the creation of light and darkness, night and day, but we do not get our moon, stars, and sun until day four. And those are the things that dominate the night and the day and separate the light from the darkness, but they don't come in until the second 3 days. So on day two, we get sky and water. And day five, figuratively, those that live, although we know birds don't live in the sky, but birds and fish for the sky and the water creatures come in that parallel second
Wow.
of the second 3 days. So two and five map neatly onto each other. And then day three, earth, sea, plants, and trees, this is where we get our animals and our people and things that we might eat on the land. And then finally, day seven, nothing is created at all, except for the idea of ceasing itself, the idea lishbot, to cease. We get Shabbat, that rest. So this pattern I wanted people to be familiar with, I think also because it speaks to this time of year as well, because there is so much order to creation and literally order. The word is Seder. We just went to Seder. So you understand a little bit of where I might be going tonight. But so here we have an organization to the way things are created, to the way everything is created. Now, in the 7 weeks of the Omer, it's a bit different. In our first week here, days 1 through 7, we started at second Seder with Chesed, and we go all the way through. So week 2, Gevurah, week 3, Tiferet, week 4, Netzach, week 5, Hod, week 6, Yisod, week 7, Malchut. And if you were in our series with us last year, you got a deep dive on each of those topics through the weeks. And if you weren't on our series last year, I still think you can find us on YouTube. So you can look for that and learn deeply about these themes in the Omer. But here we are, we're in week one. And so I want to take a closer look at the actual 5 verses of the creation of light and darkness, night and day. But I'm not sure everybody's had a chance to say their blessing for Torah study yet today, so I want to recite that before we go into the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav yitzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. And if you didn't say it, you can also just say Amen. All right, let us go into the text in our handy dandy friendly friend, Safaria. So here we are in Bereshit, and this is the 2023 JPS translation. Do I have somebody who'd be willing to read? It's just 5 verses in English.
I will, Rabbi.
Thank you, James. Go right ahead.
When God began to create heaven and earth, the earth being unformed and void, with darkness over the surface of the deep, and the wind from God sweeping over the water, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day and called the darkness night. And there was evening and there was morning, a first day.
Thank you. Okay, so my question to everyone is having heard that or seen it or both, heard and seen it, what are you thinking about in terms of a connection at this time? So, what do you hear that is similar to preparing for Passover, holding or attending Seder, or now being in the days right after the Sidarim? What stands out to you? You can raise your hand or you can just start speaking because there's not so many of us.
Well, maybe, Rabbi. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there is an order in which he does it. He creates day and night, and then, you know, separates the water from the land. So,
Well, that'll be later. Let's
oh,
just talk
well,
about the first day right now. So,
okay. All
done
right.
in an organized way that reminds you a little bit of Seder.
Yes. Because it's kind of like a constant. I mean, he set everything in order by creating. So whatever he did first, second, third, there's an order, and I guess there's a purpose.
Great. Thank you. Temmie.
I'll
Well,
jump in here.
okay.
Okay. Ken
Well,
and then
it
Temmie.
certainly took a certain amount of work to uh, create this of day and night. And for the Seder, it takes a lot of work
Yes.
to put on a Seder. And
Ah,
so that's the day. The day
there you
is
go.
doing the work,
Good
putting it on.
example.
The night is the exhaustion after it's over and all the guests have gone and now you have to clean up.
Yeah. Yeah. It really resonates with me too, Ken.
He's not at my
Absolutely.
synagogue anymore.
And the cleaning
So,
just ended today.
yeah.
That's right, Carol. So Temmie is next, and then Bobby will be next after that.
So I went in a totally different direction. I was thinking of so much of what we read at the Seder about how the Hebrews were, it took them a long time until God could see that they were ready to be free. And so it's like separating the darkness of that from the light of freedom. And
Hmm.
that's kind of where I went with all of this.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, Bobby, your turn. Unmute yourself and share, please.
Much simpler because I'm just 2 days past having chaired and had a lot of help, but uh, community Seder at our temple this Sunday night. And my first thought was, oh, you have to make the chicken soup first. And so chicken soup came into my mind for 26 quarts. So that's
Oh,
where I went.
And hopefully a wind from God swept over that. Hmm. I love it. I love it, Bobby. We also had a community Seder for some 49, 50 folks on Sunday night. I hope that your many, many, many quarts of soup were well enjoyed. I know they were by us.
Thank you.
Other thoughts? Please.
yeah, I was going to suggest that I'm in the context that you're raising it. I like the idea of that there's a sense of liberation on the first day, coming out of the darkness. And yes, there's night at the end, but we've come through the nothingness and we've been liberated into somethingness. So we've come from nowhere to somewhere. And I see the Omer as a journey from a place which is more akin to a nowhere into a place that's a somewhere that's got a place of blessing as opposed to a place that was just the Tahom, and the void, and and the unformed.
Yes, and I'll piggyback on that and say, because there is evening and then there is morning, Vahi erev, vahi voker, yom echad, it does, I think, really take that journey from slavery to Sinai, as we do from our Passover all the way to our Shavuot. So I think there's a beautiful relationship to that. I really agree. Let me not stop anyone else from sharing. So please speak up or raise your hand.
Rabbi, this is a very different take on it, but it's what I think of as I read that. As you know, I dwell in the world, the richness of the world that I live in most of the time. And this was a reminder of me to appreciate the beginnings. So very simple things. I mean, I routinely practice gratitude about simple things, but they're not simple things. Although I practice gratitude for having water at the turn of a tap in whatever 8 places in my house, but that's not simple enough. And it's a reminder of me to go back further.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So my mind initially has been, I think, along with what Ken was talking about, right? That this idea of the earth being tohu vavohu, being, it says here, unformed and void, but let's say deeply chaotic, is often how I think preparing for Passover feels. And was it Carol who said that it took that many days also to clean up from everything? That this idea that creation takes real effort. I heard that in what you were saying. And how wonderful if we could just speak into being second Seder for our community, Bobby, instead of all the many, many hours of organizing and preparing that it truly does take us when we put together an event for the whole community. Beautiful.
I agree
So-
with you, Rabbi. The beauty of all of this preparation and all of this running around and the tumult that goes on in the house prior to and after is definitely worth every second when you see everybody around your table and thank God that they're all there.
Yeah.
And I just want to add a little point that we did this year, which was different. Some people had put lemons on their table and some people have put oranges on their table. We decided that, or left it an empty chair for your ancestors that are no longer with us. What we did this year is we lit a candle. But we have 3 grandchildren and each one lit a candle. One lit one Shabbos candle, the other one lit another Shabbos candle, and the third one lit the candle for our ancestors that are no longer with us.
Nice.
Found that really very interesting because the conversation started building up about who's not here. And it was it was very beautiful, sad, but very beautiful.
Wow.
Wow.
That's gorgeous. And, it is in our tradition that, what is it? Ner Adonai Nishmat Adam, that the candle of God is the soul of a human being. And that there is this deep relationship between the soul and light. And how beautiful to remember that way as well. And to bring our ancestors to the Seder. I think there's a traditional Seder song, Lecha ulecha, Lecha ki lecha, and my husband's grandfather, who was a survivor of the Shoah, of the Holocaust in Europe, always had a really strange pronunciation for this. It says Lecha in the book. He said Lechu. always said lechu. And so for at least one round, we say lechu, even though it says lecha, to remember him. So all the small ways and the big ways, I can out Dr. Temi Levbarg as being my mother and know that telling one of my grandfather's jokes at the Seder was also a tradition that we would like to bring out and carry from time to time, even when he was no longer the person telling the joke.
Right.
So I think that connection is really deep and really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
I was thinking when you said that as well about remembrance is one of the first themes of the Seder of the holiday is remembrance, remembering that we were slaves, but remembering
And that God
how
then remembered
beautiful.
us.
Yes, how beautiful to have lit that extra candle. Wow.
Thank you.
Does anyone else see other connections between this time of Passover and this day that we haven't yet shared, or an elaboration on something we have? All right, so long as I'm not cutting anyone off, I think we can come back to the slides. So the first week of the Omer has the Kabbalistic theme of chesed, meaning loving kindness. So I also wanted to ask, how is this first week of the Omer related to loving kindness? Let's start with that, and then we can talk about the creation story as well.
So do you mean by the first week that the number one, is that what we're talking about?
What I mean is that every day in the Omer is connected to a Kabbalistic theme. So this entire first week, the theme is loving kindness. And then individual days have their own connections. So I can show you that today, if it's still light out where you are, where like it is for me, then it's the second day of the Omer still, and it's Gevura Shebechesed, strength and might within loving kindness. And tomorrow, if it's already dark for you, the third day of the Omer is Tiferet Shebechesed, meaning that beauty or glory within loving kindness. But right now, I just want to talk about the overarching theme. Does that help?
Yeah.
So how is this first week of the Omer related to loving kindness for you? Did anyone receive any loving kindness around Seder?
I did.
All right, why don't you share that with us, Carol? That'd be great.
My oldest grandson, Devin, bought me a birthday present, and it's a plaque, a heart, and it says, being in grandma and grandpa's house is the best place to be. And I looked at it and I was very taken by it. And half an hour later, he takes out his phone and pulls up an app and he says, Grandma, what is the possibility of this actually being here? I always tell my grandchildren I love them to the moon and back to the beach because we love going to the beach. And I also tell them that I love them to the moon and back. And he found something on there that was related to when somebody tells you that they love you to the moon and back, they're telling you with every bit of blood in their heart to be able to explain to you how much they love you. And he looked at me and he says, Grandma, what are the chances of this being there? This is our saying. And I thought, all right. But it really took me for a minute. I had to like turn around because I didn't see that I was crying.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
The,
Fabulous.
the,
That is some deep love.
the blood in our hearts and our whole body is subject to tides from the moon. Just as every drop of water in it.
Mm.
Did anyone else experience some loving kindness around Seder or all the work that you were doing? I hope you actually really did.
Yeah.
Bobby
This
or
is
anybody.
Stacy.
Oh, Stacy, please.
Yeah. I just really am impressed with nature and the beauty of it. And while we're getting ready for Seder, we are actually having some green grass and some flowers that are blooming. And when people come and visit, they of course bring flowers. And just seeing nature starting over again, the first day, nature starting all over again. I really appreciate the changes.
And that is absolutely chesed. And this is our Chag HaAviv, our springtime festival. And I know because I have lived in colder places. I remember one year I was a rabbi in Kansas City and it snowed for Seder. And I said, is this spring? But here being a rabbi in Texas, our state flower is the bluebonnet and it is in bloom for Seder this year. And that feels like chesed too, like loving kindness.
Everything is in bloom here in Durham, North Carolina. And so is the pollen, which is just covering us with its loving kindness. But seriously, it is beautiful, nevertheless.
Bobby.
I just wanted to, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Bobby, please.
Yes, total loving kindness wherever I went for the Seders. A small family one with Stacy Lazarus, and just felt loving kindness and so welcome and so wonderful there. And then our community Seder, I can't say enough about the loving kindness of our community. And I know it's that way in other places as well. But that was it just shone through, absolutely shone through for 2 nights in a row. So that's how I felt loving kindness.
Fabulous.
I can say one thing. We had our Seder at Shirami, and my partner of 36 years, it's his first time to go to Seder at to go with me somewhere like that. And so, I wasn't expecting him to or whatever. And he said, "What time is it? When are we going?" So yeah, that was loving kindness.
And I think
And
he had a great time at Seder too.
he enjoyed it immensely.
David's a great guy. Other thoughts about loving kindness at the beginning? Oh, please.
Yeah, I was going to say that I'm thinking of it more conceptually of beginning this 50-day journey and making it to Shavuot. I'm thinking that if we're going to do this as a community, we've got to have some ground rules of how we're going to behave with each other. If we're going to spend 50 days walking in 7 weeks, and we have to help each other out, we have to support each other. It's the way from Egypt to Sinai. It's going to be through tough terrain and different kinds of strengths. And so we have to, we're digging into that right now. If we're going to make it there, we have to be more patient with each other. And so I kind of see that as one of the themes of this beginning of this process. And later on, we can get to other elements of the messages of the Sefirot and the like. But to begin with, we got to be willing to be with each other.
Very true. A nice foundation of kindness to get started. Oh, something we can all pray for our country to have. Yes.
Yes. This has gotten me to think about something that I hadn't really put in the context of loving kindness, because I guess it just is something I take for granted now. For our Seder, for 30 some odd years has been with the same group that we call Family of the Heart. When Rabbi Reice was growing up, she was part of at the table, and her grandparents were there in many years, but over the years, it has just come down to friends that are like family, none of whom are Jewish. And I will tell you that one of the most loving kindness moments is to be reciting prayers and singing in Hebrew with my dear family of the heart, who do some of the cooking, the matzo ball soup, the kugel, the eggs, with it that sharing and the conversation and the generosity that is generated around that table is really a living loving kindness. And I hadn't really put it in that context till we started talking about this.
Very beautiful. Both of my daughter-in-laws are not Jewish. And the fact that they make it a point to be with us every holiday is more than I can ask for. They will put it on their calendar. They know when the holidays are before I do. And I just love the fact that they step out and step up to the plate every holiday.
Wow.
But they don't like the gefilte fish.
And most don't.
It's not for everyone.
Yep.
Don't put that near me.
Well, and Ellen, I hope that you felt some loving kindness because you walked into Seder and said, Rabbi, I forgot to register. And I said, it's not a problem. Here you are. We have a space for you.
Hi, Ellen.
I know. It's like, it was kind of a mix-up. Eloise said, I think someone can't come and you can take her place. And I was like, okay. And then I went home and kind of didn't do it because I just felt tired. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it. And the next thing I know, I'm getting contacted about it. Do I want salmon or brisket? I'm like, what? So I think Eloise put me in there, but it was really, it was a nice surprise, especially because I thought I was too tired to come. And then I had a great time.
Fabulous. Well, so let's look back on that first day of creation and see if we can find the chesed, the loving kindness there.
That he gave us light.
Yeah. Like a deep reaching out.
I think the Spirit of God over the water always reminds me of like being hugged, being caressed, being cared for. The Shekinah is very lovely moment in creation.
Beautiful.
I think creating a world for us is that expression also. It's giving us a nest place that we can call home. And we remember that every Shabbos that there's two things to remember. Zecher L'Tziat Mitzrayim, getting out of Egypt, and Zecher L'Maaseh V'Reishit, that God made a place so we have a place. So those are the parallels here. And it's part of our Kiddush blessing that they come together, the two remembrances that we talked about at the outset. They fit so perfectly.
Absolutely. Always Passover and creation connected every single time we say Shabbat Kiddush. Yes. Particularly Shabbat evening. Beautiful. So there is a Kabbalistic teaching about what is actually created on the first day. And I know that our time is running long because I heard that one rabbi was only 30 minutes, but we're already at 7:35 in Central Time. But would you enjoy a little bit more? Okay.
Yes.
I would.
Then
Mhm.
let's do that. So we have this teaching from Rabbi Lawrence Kushner asking some mystical questions about the creation of the world. And this is from Bim Bam.
You're not sharing anything yet, Rabbi.
It didn't share?
No, it's just the gray screen.
Interesting. Let's see. How about now? No?
Praise
Let me stop and start from fresh. How about now?
You're
Geez.
getting ready to share the screen.
But it's not yet actually sharing?
That's
No.
correct. It's
Nope.
still just a blank screen saying you're getting ready to share.
All right. One more time, and then I guess I'll just have to summarize it for you.
It says you're starting to share your screen, but it's a black screen.
Yeah, it does say screen sharing is paused. I'm not sure why. So let me start with that.
Maybe click on
Has anyone run into
showing a tab or showing the whole window.
Yeah, I wonder, did anyone come with this problem before? Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Hmm. Well, I can drop the link and everyone can enjoy it in the future. But the question is, what is created on the first day? What is the light that is created? And what he's going to talk about is it is the light of understanding. That is a unique kind of light. And he goes on to connect it. So it's on that Bereshit page. And particularly, I can share this link to the exact video. The idea that the light was also very intense and had to be hidden in a certain way. And so when we read the verse, Or Zarua Lat Tzaddik, that light is hidden away for the righteous, that it may actually in part be this light from creation because it imparted such a great understanding that it was like you could look across the world and see anything. And that wasn't going to be a very practical way to run the world as more and more was being created. So I think that's a very interesting ongoing connection between light and this time, as we were talking about the light that is memory and the light that is remembering, is very powerful in this season.
This may be completely off. I've never done this kind of study before, but I can't help but think of the word woke. You know, we're awake. It's light. We see. We think we do, But, you know, as I've been reading lately, we're so proud of ourselves for seeing so much, and not everybody has come along with us. And so it's just good to think about wokeness, which to me I can associate with the light.
Thank you. Okay. Well, if we just go back. Huh. It is really upset at me sharing anything. How funny is that?
Well, Rabbi, teach us yourself then. You're doing a great job. It happens to
That's
all of us. Every
fine.
one of us has had something go awry, either in a virtual or an in-present or even in a synagogue setting. And we just
Yeah.
smile
Yeah.
and we go along with it because that's who we are. That's the loving kindness you ask us to show.
And Rabbi, because I already, this is Stacy speaking. Because I
Yes.
already opened up the links, do you want me to share the links? Share my screen?
Oh, that's interesting.
A good idea.
We can try that.
Okay. Let's see what I could find here. Do you want, let's go with this one here. So I'm sharing Rabbi Lawrence Kushner. Do you see the
Yes.
screen?
Nope.
No, it's the same problem I was having.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That-
wait a
Ah,
minute. Here it is. Maybe.
we just can't hear it.
oh. Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to share sound when you share.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have to go into the setting and maximize it for video and for sound.
Okay, I don't know where to do that though.
That's okay. Let's
All right, I try.
let's move on.
I'll stop sharing.
But that is the video when you get to it.
All right.
That is the one. Okay, so then this didn't work either. How funny is that?
Rabbi, on my screen, it is saying ask host to stop AI companion feature.
Oh, is it the AI that's blocking us?
I think
Maybe
so.
mine's flashing too.
Huh.
And I don't know how to do that.